It has been another day of protests in Atlanta, not just over the case of George Floyd, but over yet another case of a police-involved shooting that's raising a lot of questions. Let's bring another voice into our conversation. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Al Green of Texas. His district includes Houston and the suburbs southwest of the city. Congressman, good evening.
Good evening.
I know it's early in our understanding of this case, and I don't want to force you to speak outside of your knowledge, but what are some of your initial impressions of what we're learning of the matter of Rayshard Brooks in the Atlanta PD?
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Let me first say that my prayers and my sympathies are with the family, and I'd like to say his name, Rayshard Brooks. He is but another name that will be added to a long list of persons who have died under questionable circumstances. I was a magistrate for 26 years, judge of a justice court. I'm a lawyer, and my visceral thoughts are that I should not allow my eyes to deceive me. So there are times when we really should rely on what we see. We have to thank God for cameras, because the story wouldn't be the same but for cameras. When you see a person fleeing, I do understand that there was a fight, an altercation. I do understand that there may have been an assault, but he's fleeing. Is it necessary to use deadly force to stop a person who is fleeing and he does not have in his hand a deadly force device? A taser is not considered a deadly force weapon. So he's fleeing. Is it necessary to kill him with this circumstance? I would also add this. I truly regret that Black lives do not matter to the same extent as white lives. This is just the case. If Black lives matter the same as white lives, we would have Ahmaud still alive. We would have Mr. Floyd still alive, and Ms. Taylor would still be alive. Black lives just don't matter as much as white lives, and this is something that can only be cured by quick reactions from mayors, such as what the mayor of Atlanta has done. She's done the right thing. And also we have to have speedy arrest and speedy trials. This will help. But in the long run, we will have to reconcile. We have not reconciled our differences in this country. We are still in a state of amnesty at best, wherein we are still trying to determine what our status is in this country. We ought to, at some point, reconcile. This is why I've introduced legislation to have a Department of Reconciliation with a Secretary of Reconciliation that reports to the President of the United States, whose job it will be to develop a strategy and implement the strategy to eliminate racism and invidious discrimination in this country.
Well, let me ask you about that. I do want to ask you about that Department of Reconciliation, a cabinet level post. I wonder if, in light of what we're dealing with tonight and what we've been dealing with since Memorial Day, when George Floyd was shot, if we're ready to reconcile. I don't know how to reconcile with you if you will not acknowledge your fault or your complicity. How do we know when the time is right for such a process, especially because Black folk in Atlanta now have something else that needs reconciliation?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Johnson. We should have started reconciliation on January 1st of 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation was presented by the president, one of the great presidents, Lincoln. We should have started then. We did not. It is past time for us to start reconciliation. A part of the reconciliation process is what you just said, having these discussions about why we are where we are. It is important for people to talk and talk to each other. If we don't start the process, we will never get to a point wherein we will move forward with some additional aspects of reconciliation, which have to do with redress. There has to be some redress. We have survived slavery. We survived the Black codes. We survived conflict leasing. We survived segregation, but we have not reconciled. It is time for us to start that process, and there's no better place to start than having a Secretary of Reconciliation whose job it will be to push the process forward. We have to start there.
In your announcement proposing this Department of Reconciliation, you invoked President Lyndon Johnson, who declared war on poverty back in 1964. You wrote that you wanted to ease what you called the symptoms of racism, but also cure it and prevent it. That's an extremely tall order. What makes you believe that racism can be cured, especially in America in 2020?
You should have lofty goals, Mr. Johnson. Your goals should seek to achieve the ideal. In this country, we want goals such as liberty and justice for all. That's a great ideal. We believe that great ideals will cause us to accomplish great things. When President Lyndon Johnson declared the war on poverty, that was what he had as his aim, to eliminate and prevent poverty. We've not eliminated it, and we're not preventing all of it. We prevent some of it. But that was the goal. And out of that effort, we received an expansion of Social Security. We got Medicaid. We have Medicare. We have Head Start. All of these things came out of the war on poverty. We need a war on racism and invidious discrimination in all of its forms. All of the invidious phobias, we've got to fight them. We've got to fight anti-Semitism. We've got to fight all of the things that separate us because of who we happen to be, and we have not committed any crime. This is the time for us to start with the department. I am going to push it. My hope is that Democrats will support it and Republicans will support it. We have some good support thus far, but whether people support it or not, we have to do the right thing. We did the right thing when we brought articles of impeachment to the floor of the Congress for a vote. I'm going to push this. I may not get a vote, but you will know who's on this legislation when it is developed. Right now, we have a resolution, and you'll know who's on the resolution. I'm going to call it like it is. I'm going to tell who the people are. It is time for us to all stand up and be counted, Mr. Johnson. Be counted.
Congressman Al Green of Texas. Congressman, I hear you in terms of our reach exceeding our grasp with the aspiration of this Department of Reconciliation. Glad to have you make some time for us, especially tonight. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you for your voice. Thank you.
Before we get
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.